this video I'm going to show you how to use the database loads. Jacara has a collection of database loads included in the software. In this audit we're doing now, we have multiple loads on one line, and I'm going to use the database loads to show you how to split them. If you find database loads that you would like to include in the database, please mail them to us. Okay, if we look at the first line, we can see there's three separate loads on here. Firstly, we have a fridge running 24 hours a day. We can see it clearly visible at night. Secondly, we've got a geyser running in the mornings and the evenings. And the third thing is the pool pump. We can identify the pool pump if we go into the second line. It's a three-phase pool pump, so we know it has to run at the same time. So we can see it from 10 through to 5 in the afternoon, and we can see the same thing applying over here. Okay, and as well as on this one. On this line, we do have the additional lighting in the evening. So what we want to do is we want these three lines to only be the pool pump, and we want to split the rest of the loads off. So on this line we want to bring out the lights, and we want to remove the fridge as well as the geyser from this line. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to do that. The easy way to work with the database loads and to see which ones you want to work with is you open a new window in Jacara. Click on the Jacara logo, the icon, and let's pull out fridges. From the repository I'm going to pull out the geysers as well, and then the lights. Okay, there's one other load which is in question. If you'll remember from an earlier video, we had to simulate the air conditioners. What I want to do is I'm going to deselect these, and I'm going to pull through database loads so that we can rather use database loads to simulate the air conditioners instead of the simulation. Alright, so I'm going to add that as well. Go to the repository and then add air conditioners. Okay, perfect. And I have to do the same on this one. Alright. So I'm going to add air cons, fridges, lights, and geysers. Okay. Just before I begin, it's important that you do this before you work on your line form and your consolidated grid. So when you work with your line form, the first thing you've got to go and check for is if you want to split off any loads using the database, because the database loads works like any other data. You've got to consolidate it, and you can't consolidate it afterwards. So we're going to lose the information that we've worked on the line form by bringing in new data. Alright, let's start with the fridges and freezers. Let's go to this one. Let's look at the original line form. Okay, if we look at the fridge, we can see it running on certain days between 80 and 190 watts. That should be our standard for the fridge. If you look at that area over there, so we are looking for a fridge of similar wattage. So the easiest way to do that is I'm just going to select the fridges and freezers and click on line form, which will create a line form only of the fridges and freezers. If you click over here, you'll confirm. Alright, so let's see if we've got anything that's close by. This one could work maybe. Yeah, this is not a bad, could work. No, definitely not. 270 watts. Yeah, maybe this is not too far off. Yeah, this one actually looks very, very close. Okay, so we're going to use this one. See if there's anything better. No. Hold on. Okay, so 220 liter freezer. That will work. Okay, so we're going to go to fridges and freezers on our original audit, and I'm going to deselect all the others. So it's the 220 liter chest freezer rating B that we're going to keep. Also very important when we work with adding data, we've got to get them into the same date stamp. Okay, so we've got to go and add them to the 5th of July. Okay, right, when I save, you'll see the new date stamp will take effect. There we go. Alright, I'll delete the extra data in a moment, but don't forget about it. I'll show you guys how to do that now. Alright, so let's look at the second one. So that's our fridge is split off. So we can close this line form. Go back to over here. Alright, let's go and see if we've got a geyser that'll match. Geysers, create a line form. Okay, this one looks good for the mornings, but we don't have evening data. No, this is not going to work. Neither is this. That's a standing heat loss. This one's too late and doesn't have evening data. No, no, no. This looks pretty close, but our morning is not as consistent as our data. No. 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 Okay, so what we're going to do for geysers, I'm going to simulate it separately. So I'm going to select this one, go to our original audit where we are working, go to geysers, and then I am just going to select the first one, deselect all the others, call it outbuilding geyser, and gonna correct my date stamp. 5th of July, perfect. Okay, so that takes care of the geysers. We'll simulate that now. Just want to make sure that I rename this one as well. So the one I want to use is outbuilding fridge. Perfect. Okay, and the last one we want for these, for the pool pump loads, is the lights. Okay, so I'm going to close this line form. Let's just go and have a look at the lights again. So go to line form, for the line with the lights. So our lights are running from about 7 o'clock in the evening, maybe 6, 7 in the evening, to about midnight or 11 o'clock at night, and it ranges from 300, 200 to 400, 500 watts. So we're looking for lighting in that region. Okay, so click on the lights in the database, and then let's create a line form and go and see if we can find a light that's going to fit. I think this one looks pretty good. I think this one, I'm happy with this one. See if there's anything else that could work. Yeah, maybe this one's not too far off either. And this one's maybe a bit too early. Yeah, this is too high. That's too low. No, no. Okay, I think this one is the best match. Yeah, I'm happy with that one. Okay, so then we're going to go to our lights and our logging, and it was the second one. So I'm going to set up logging. It's the other ones I deselect, and I'm going to call it outbuilding lights. Perfect. New date stamp. Change it to the 5th of July. There we go. Alright, perfect. And the only thing we have left is the air conditioners. So what I'm going to do is, we simulated the air conditioners through this line. I'm going to deselect them. So I'm going to deselect the 3 air cons that we've simulated. I'm going to save that. And I'm going to find myself 3 database air conditioners. There's one air conditioner in the database, there's one air conditioner that we spoke to the client that's basically for central cooling. So it's a 3-phase air conditioner on his roof that cools down the majority of the home, and then there's 2 other air conditioners that's used often in the rooms. Alright, so let's try and see if we can find any air conditioners that represent what he's given us. Okay, so that one, no, it's not going to work. That one's not going to work. Maybe. It's not a bad one. Yeah, this could work for the central home aircon. Yeah. This could work for a room. and this could work for him. So I'm going to use the last three for the two rooms that are used often in the central air conditioning unit. Okay, I'm happy with those. Let's go to the air conditioners, setup logging, deselect the first three, and do the date stamp. March, April, May, June. Okay, perfect. Alright, that should take care of these loads. So, like I mentioned to you earlier, it's important that you do this before you start, spending a lot of time in your line form, because all the information that you've put in the line form is going to be lost once you include the new data. So I'm going to have to delete the consolidated grid, and I'm going to have to delete the line form. Before we consolidate these, it's important that we also get the start and end dates correct. So we've already set the start dates, but the end dates might still be out. So if we look at the data, our logging ended on the 15th, and we've got to make sure that the new loads don't go past that. Alright, this one surpasses the 15th, so we're going to delete everything that's after the 15th. Okay, perfect. One down, three to go. Everything after the 15th, there we go. Okay, and the last one, go to users. The database loads are 2 weeks long, so just keep that in mind. If you need more data for it, you're going to get unstuck. And there we go. So everything after the 15th, that sorts it out. Okay, so now we're going to consolidate again. You'll see that the fridges and everything, the fridges and all the database loads, on our original audit, we started on, let's go up here. On the original audit, we started at 4 in the afternoon on both of them, and our database loads, we started at midnight. So on the consolidated grid, you can see the zeros for the day that we don't have the information in there. Alright. And from that, I'm happy to create my line form. Perfect. Okay, so this is the new line form. We've basically now separated the geyser off. The geyser we still have to go and simulate, which we'll do in a moment. So let's maybe start with that. Let's go and start with the geyser. There we go. There's the fridge. We can see the fridge data is now separate. The geyser we've got to go and simulate, so I'm going to do efficient and non-efficient override. I'm going to go 3 kilowatt load. That's fine. And the geyser was running. Let's just go and double check on the times. So the geyser was on from 5 to 7 in the mornings and from 6 to 8 in the evenings. Okay, so let's go to geyser. Right. 5 to 7 in the morning, so I'm going to put it on for 100% over there and 100% over there, and then 90 and 80, and from 6 to 8 in the evenings. So I'm going to go 100% there, 100% there. I'm going to go, let's make it an 80 and a 90. Okay, so this is the geyser load. I just want to double check that it's in line with what we have. So about 2 kilowatt, 2.5 kilowatts maybe in the evenings, and 2 kilowatts in the mornings. Okay, maybe we're a little bit too high. So I'm going to come the geyser again and just maybe bring it down a tad. So I'm going to make it a 2.5 kilowatt load. Perfect. We'll make it a 2.3 kilowatt load. I think it'll be closer. Alright. So that takes care of our geyser. Good. And so now that we've got the geyser split off, the other thing for this line, before we can simulate this line with a pool only, is the fridge. The fridge, we've used the database load, so I'm happy with that. So this line I'm happy to go and simulate. So I'm going to go efficient and non-efficient override. And if we look at line 2, just to get the times, the pool's running basically from 10 in the morning through to 6 in the evening. So I'm going to go to this line, simulated at 550 watts, 0.55, and simulation profile, I want from 10 in the 100. Tab button works really well here. Sometimes I'm just a little bit too fast for the tab, and I get confused. There we go. So from 10 through to 6 in the evening, that's our data. Okay, so now the other line we've got to do is our outbuilding number 2. So this one is the same, and we can see that there's the light. So we've already got a database load that represents the lights. These are new lights. Okay, so now we can go and just simulate this load as well. So I'm going to go do the same thing here. Change it to a 0.55 kilowatt pump. And from 10 in the mornings so that takes care of this load as well. Alright, and there's one other thing that we should not forget. Now the air conditioners, the 3 air conditioners are out. Now there's one other important thing that we have to do, is we've got to put the seasonal factors in for the air conditioning. Okay, January, February and December I'm going to leave at 100%. So I'm going to leave those loads there. March I'm going to bring down to 60%, April I'm going to take it to 10, May, June is off all the way through, September I'll put it on 10%, October let's put it 30%, November 60%. Okay, we have to do something similar for all the air cons. So air conditioner 2, seasonal, and the same thing for the last air con as well. Alright, perfect. That should take care of our database loads. Although the month that we pulled in the data was in July, according to the database loads, we can still go and make it a 0 in July. So once the data is in here, your factor in there basically scales the values up or down. Alright, so yeah, that's it. And that is how you would use your database loads to split off your information so that you can work with the data individually.